Welcome to the 2017-2018 men's basketball season. Please use this preseason training video along with the NCAA head coach's video to help instruct your staff and players on the new rules and points of emphasis that will impact our game this season. At the completion of this viewing, if you have any questions, please contact me and I will help clarify as needed. The restricted area. In order for a player to be legal in the restricted area and be on or over the restricted area line, he must first face his opponent and then leave the floor before contact with the ability to return to the floor in almost the same position. A player may not leave the floor, turn, jump forward, or sideways into an offensive basketball player without it being restricted area foul. Here are some examples of both legal and illegal restricted area plays. In this example, the defender sets up facing his opponent. However, his heels are on the line. He lifts his heels right before impact, but he is still over the restricted area line. Therefore, any contact that occurs must be a blocking foul. We have designated different officials to help with this play and to referee from the feet up in order to correctly identify a legal and non-legal defender in this type of situation. In play number 2, the defender sets up facing his opponent. However, his left heel is touching the red restricted area line. In this instance, the lead official doesn't have a good look from the floor up. The two outside officials must come and help in calling this play. Coaches, do not be surprised if a foul is called from an official in not their primary area in this assist situation. In play 3, the defender faces his opponent and tries to jump to become legal in restricted area. However, as you can see on the replay, he would not have been able to leave from point A and return to the floor in point A. Therefore, the twisting of the body at contact makes him illegal in the defensive area. Again, just jumping does not make you legal. You must be able to return to the floor in approximately the same position that you left from. In play 4, the defender faces his opponent, leaves from point A, but prior to contact, shifts his body angle to where he would not have been able to come down in point A. Therefore, the contact when it occurs becomes illegal defense and a foul on the defender in the restricted area. You must be able to leave from point A and return to the floor in approximately the same position, not to the side in point B as this play exemplifies. Play 5 is an example of a legal defender who faces his opponent while in the restricted area, leaves the floor from point A, and would have returned to the floor in point A if it wasn't for the contact by the offensive player. The defender does a good job of maintaining legality, and the only reason he doesn't return to the floor in the same spot is because of the offensive contact. This is legal restricted area defense. The Men's Basketball Rules Committee is intent on eliminating the physicality in the post. We've done a good job on the perimeter in eliminating the physicality, and we must now extend this to the post players. Defensive players must not initiate contact on an offensive player in a post-up position. In turn, the offensive player cannot hold or displace the defender using his arms in an illegal manner. Here are some examples of post play that will be both legal and illegal. In play 1, the defender is illegal from the start of the play. He has his arms down and behind him, pinning the offensive player. In this case, the minute the referees see his arms in this position, he's at risk for a foul. As soon as the offensive player tries to cut and move, we want a foul called on the defender in the post. We do not want to wait to see the result of the play. In this example, we end up calling an offensive foul for hooking under when it should have been on the defense from the initial part of the play. Play 2 is an example of a defensive player who gets beat to a spot by the offensive player. He then uses his elbow, forearm, and knee to displace the offensive player. As soon as contact occurs, we must have a foul against the defense, whether the ball enters the post or not. This is illegal contact on post defense. Play 3 is an example of an illegal offensive foul in the post. If we are not going to allow the defender to lay or displace the offensive player, we cannot allow the offensive player to post illegally. When he posts with his arm extended and the defense tries to get around through that arm, we have an offensive foul. We must learn to post with our arms in the touchdown position in order to be legal. When extended, we're at risk of a foul against the offense if the defender contacts that arm trying to get around. The Men's Basketball Rules Committee is also concerned with rebounding on free throws. The Rules Committee feels the offense is getting a wide open 15-foot shot, which we need to learn to make. They do not feel that the teammate in space 2 has a right to displace the inside rebounder in any way in order to get the rebound. Therefore, the only way an offensive player will get a rebound on a free throw is to run some kind of loop play or step straight across and catch a long rebound. If they displace the inside player in any way and the free throw is missed, a foul must be called. One of the major points of emphasis this year will be on traveling, both on the perimeter and in the post. We have allowed the guards in offensive situations to get away with shuffling of the pivot foot to begin a dribble, whether a split step or a side to side. We cannot allow the offense to get an extra step and beat a defender. We also cannot allow the perimeter players to catch a pass in a non-shooting position and take an extra step to get squared up to shoot. These plays must be called travels whether there's a defender near or not. We have to clean up perimeter footwork. Also in the post, we must make the post players establish the pivot foot and not lift and reset that pivot without a travel being called. This is too large an advantage for the offensive player and makes it difficult for the defense. We must pay attention to footwork and call the plays as they occur by the letter of the rule. The Rules Committee wants illegal screens eliminated for the game. Therefore, they refine the rule on screening and ask us to enforce by the letter of the rule. A screener may now have the inside of his foot as wide as his shoulders in order to set an established base to set a screen. When his feet get outside the width of his shoulders and contact occurs by the defender with the offensive player's screening leg, we must have an illegal screen. Also, on dribble handoffs, the offensive player who releases the ball now goes from ball handler to screener. Therefore, he is responsible for coming to a jump stop and setting a legal screen or avoiding the defender altogether. It does not matter if the defender is trying to go over or under the play to maintain defensive position. The offense must eliminate the contact. The onus is on the offensive player. In play 1, the offensive screener comes from the side and behind the defensive player. He sets an illegal screen by never being completely set and also by moving his right leg outside the width of his shoulder to cause contact. This is an illegal screen. Play 2 is an example again of a screener who is never completely set before contact. He extends his left leg and throws his left shoulder and arm out into the cutting defender. This is an illegal screen. Play 3 is an example of a dribble handoff and illegal screen. The offensive ball handler passes to a teammate and continues his path into the defensive player. This is an illegal screen. It doesn't matter whether the defender tried to go high or low over this play. An illegal screen must be called. Play 4 is an example of a screener who sets a base way outside of his shoulder width. Therefore, when the defensive player tries to go around the screen and contact occurs with the outside shoulder and leg, an illegal screen must be called. Play 5 is another example of a dribble handoff illegal screen. The ball handler dribbles down to the baseline, passes to a teammate, and runs into the defender who is chasing. This must be called an illegal screen. The ball handler can either come set in a jump stop and set a legal screen, or he must avoid contact altogether. Dribble handoffs must be eliminated when the offensive player continues his path into a defender. Play 6 is an example of a legal back screen. In order to set a screen from behind in the blind area of the defender, the offensive player must come set, allowing the defender one full step to turn and change direction. When contact occurs from behind and with the leg in this play, we have an illegal screen. The offensive cylinder rule will be a major change this coming season. The Men's Rules Committee has made it adamant they want the defense to back off. They want the offensive player to be allowed to turn to either pass, start a shot, or begin a dribble. This does not mean the offensive player can change pivot feet or pivot into the defender. However, when the feet are stationary and the offensive player tries to go side to side, either at chest level or high or low, he must be given a ball's width area to do this. He cannot extend the ball straight out in front of him to do this, but as long as he has bent elbows with the ball at chest level, he is allowed to turn side to side and not have contact with the defender. If contact with the defender occurs, even if initiated by the offense, this is a defensive cylinder foul. The Rules Committee says the defense must back off. In play 1, after the rebound, the player in white maintains the basketball at chest level. The defensive player in the dark uniform closes the space and straddles the leg of the offensive player, not allowing him to turn at the waist to lift the basketball to pass at this point. When contact occurs, even though the offense initiates with his shoulder, this is a defensive cylinder foul. Play 2 is another example of a defender closing the space, not allowing the offensive player to turn from the waist to pass the basketball. Contact occurs with the shoulder. Last year, this wasn't even called a foul, but the Rules Committee says this must be called. At this point, the white is legal, but when he steps forward the right foot and the offensive player initiates contact with his shoulder, a defensive foul must be called. Play 3 is an example of a help defender who closes a space and illegally causes contact with the offensive player. The help defender, when he comes down, must allow the offensive player ball space in front of him to turn at the waist. He closes and straddles his leg, causing the offensive player on the pivot to make contact. In this play, however, we would also have a flagrant 1 foul on the offense. Even though we will not allow the defensive player to close the space and prevent turning, when turning occurs and contact happens above the shoulders with an elbow, we will have a defensive cylinder foul followed by an offensive flagrant 1 foul. Players must still pivot with elbows in and down. Play 4 is an example of a trap defense where illegal cylinder contact occurs. The offensive player ends his dribble, makes a pivot on his left foot. The help defender then comes and straddles his left leg, not allowing the offensive player to turn around to make a pass. When contact occurs, this must be a defensive cylinder foul. The defense must give ball's width at chest level, high or low, for the offensive player to release a pass. This is a defensive cylinder foul. The final play is an example of legal defense that the offense goes outside of his cylinder to cause contact. This is how the Rules Committee wants the play. The defender initially starts from behind the offensive player. As the player turns to the side, he leans forward with his left shoulder and arm, creating the contact. The defender has not straddled the leg and is allowed ball's width if necessary to turn. This contact by the offensive player is not only an offensive foul, it is a flagrant 1 foul because the contact occurs above the shoulders, leading with the elbow. Offensive players, again, must learn to pivot with their elbows down. Thank you for your attention in addressing these types of plays and helping us as we begin the 2017-18 season to officiate the game by the rules and at the direction of the Men's Basketball Rules Committee. Please contact me at any time if I can help clarify anything on this video or if any other questions arise. I will be posting training tapes at different times during the season and will inform you when those are posted on our website. I look forward to a great season. Thank you.